they'll look at the haystack of your life and trying to find the needles,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So, for example, they did it to me. I've been canceled, I don't know, half a dozen times. I've lost track.
Dude, can we just say when he says he's been canceled, can we point out before he goes into it that his hero, Bernie Sanders, the guy that Cenk tied his entire progressive network, clamped right onto Bernie revoked his endorsement. Okay? Just for the record, can we acknowledge that?
And I've been canceled by the left, the right, and the middle.
Yeah,
So,
congrats.
So I've
The Triple Crown.
I thank you. I appreciate it. Triple Crown, hat trick. I got it all. Right. So originally, when the alt-right came,
Dude, it's so gross that he is celebrating with this fucking right-wing bearded Matt Walsh wannabe, and he's like, ha ha ha, celebrating with him. Oh, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha.
they canceled me when I founded Just Democrats. They looked and looked and looked for a problem, and it was in the Me Too era, right? So they dug so much that they literally called every woman that's ever worked at the Young Turks. And every one of them said, no, Cenk's a great boss. We're good.
I'd like to begin the entertainment segment by asking you to identify the camel toe.
Oh, boy.
Okay? So we have obtained a photo of a celebrity's camel toe. It is a close-up, so I'm off the kids if they've never seen a giant.
They said, we're good. Yeah, we love camel toes. And no, he did write some incel blogs, and none of the women ever really get promoted. Like, none of the women get their own show, really, right? They all just, like, but we're good. Cenk is great. He's a union buster, but he's great with women, right? He tries to f*** everybody according to the blog, but he really doesn't mean it, right? And, the Me Too thing was this hypersensitive time, right, according to Cenk. It's not like the Me Too movement was actually women, having some fucking power to, like, not get raped or to not get sexually abused at work and shit and actually have consequences. But Cenk is like, it's the Me Too movement, when women were being all sensitive about the 70 years of sexual harassment they've experienced at work, right? Like, dude, you see the way this guy, he's setting it up, right? It's not his behavior. It's not him being a gross, smarmy, camel toe watching guy. It was the Me Too movement. Like, dude, what a douche, bro.
Thanks for asking, but like, no, this is a great place to work. Like, damn it, he hasn't done anything wrong. He's super boring. He just looks at his computer all day long.
Got to keep digging.
Right, got to keep digging.
Yeah.
So then they go to the Wayback Machine, which is where the internet keeps deleted stuff. I had deleted blogs from 15 years ago at that point, right? Because I looked out, I was a kid trying to get attention, little shock jock, that kind of thing, right? And it was mainly jokes about myself. So one line is, I write a column about how I can't I'll be a little crass here, okay? But
go for it.
Okay, I can't get laid in South Beach. And I'm like, oh my God, how incompetent do you have to be? And I'm making fun of myself the whole article. And near the end, I say, the real problem is the genes of women are problematic because they won't sleep with us as readily as we'd like, right?
And he doesn't see how that's problematic, right? Right? He's like, yeah, they're picking nits here.
It's obviously joking about how you can't even get laid with all these models in South Beach, right? And it's about myself. Right. They take that and they go like, good. We dug so far, we found this rusty, old, tiny needle in the bottom of the haystack. He once wrote something that was a joke and can be misinterpreted. They put it out there. Then the left wing, like the Justice Democrat staff, etc., all the circling, that was catnip for them. Right.
Well, but here's the problem. I believe personally it was a little deeper than that. I believe the show was actually pretty racy in the beginning. The camel toe shit, right? There was all of this objectification, the N-words, right? Remember that? You know what I'm saying? There was all of that. And then there were people, very real people, like Anna Kasparian. Anna felt like she was not moving up the ladder. And ultimately, she became the only person to move up the ladder. So there was also kind of like a male control at this network where women weren't moving up. And, you know, there was like union busting, and there was the incel blogs. And of course, when you run for Congress, everything about you is going to come out. So what's really crazy about this is I think if it had just been a couple deleted blogs without that other shit, I don't know if it would have blown up that way. It's one of these things where it was a whole bunch of shit that was stacked up that created the momentum, because there's like momentum, guys. I didn't feel like he was joking with those blogs. And not only that, though, I've seen enough of just watching, like, if you look at my YouTube channel, I've made a lot of Cenk and Anna videos, guys. There's definitely misogyny with this guy, okay? Especially if the woman is a woman of color. Go look at how they talk about Karen Bass or Kamala Harris. It's different than how they talk about, like, white women, and it's very different than how they talk about men. You know what I mean? I mean, dude, you ready? Let me just say this, guys. When I was playing Fortnite, okay, I made a Fortnite video where we did a fashion show that was like a best booty fashion show. Okay, this is not real women. This is, you know, pixels on a screen. But I can acknowledge that even me, yes, making a best booty fashion show in Fortnite, that's misogynist. Okay, there's some misogyny there, guys. That was absolutely like from my ingrained sort of like objectifying women that I grew up with, where you would rate women based on their physical characteristics. I can look at that and absolutely say that, yeah, it is my ingrained misogyny that I grew up with objectifying women that led to me making that video, right? And why did that video resonate with a whole bunch of people, especially young gamer dudes? Because we all get programmed with that misogyny. Now, when I run for Congress, if I run, you can bet your ass that video is getting dragged up, along with Dick Strange and along with every time I fucking danced in my underwear and shit. I'm going to face all of that. Now, I'm going to have to be able to talk about that shit. And there is a way to talk about it and to acknowledge misogyny. The misogyny, though, is like all men deal with a hatred of women. Like, we get ingrained, we get taught to despise women. You get taught that they're too emotional, that they're not good leaders, that they're just out for a paycheck, that they're gonna, right? I mean, we get taught that. Absolutely. I mean, we experience it as young men, just outgrowing your mom, okay? If your mom is a little bit controlling, is overbearing, you may hate your mom. Guys who have mommy issues then go out, and that's misogyny is born from your relationship with your mother. If she was a little controlling, if she was a little overprotective, you grow to hate her. I mean, it's like, when you think about this shit, it is many layers. It's not just this one thing of like, oh, right, misogynists, okay, guys who are very misogynistic often date a lot of women, okay? It's like, it's not that they dislike women, it's the way they treat women when they date them, okay? The misogynist is somebody who might punish women or objectify them unnecessarily, or he may objectify them as a route where he's objectifying them because he feels like they're already sort of second-rate creatures. You know what I'm saying? And like, that is all misogyny. Okay, it's not just like, ooh, I hate women.
So they're boom, they love it. They're like, ah, you're a female, you're a sexist, misogynist. You gotta go. Ah.
We knew it.
We know it.
Right.
And I'm like, guys, they're looking for a needle in a haystack. And then, by the way, then I run for Congress, and the New York Times infinitely.
I don't understand how Cenk Uygur couldn't have addressed that situation by acknowledging the misogyny. I mean, if we look at this shit. Like, if you look at these blogs, okay, if you look at the writings themselves, if you look at this shit, there's a lot of misogyny and sexism in these blogs. Okay? Now, it was a different time. Obviously, he was a younger guy, but not all that younger. But if you go and look at these, right, there must be an orgasm by the 5th date. That's really weird, all right? You know, that you're demanding that women owe you sex or an orgasm. They must perform for you by the 5th date. Dude, demanding when physical consent has to happen. But like, you know, rule number 2, what if this woman has been sexually assaulted? What if she doesn't want to have any orgasms for like a year? Like, what the fuck, dude? Is she an orgasm provider or is she a human being that you're getting to know and you're taking in? Okay? Now, regardless of the reason for writing this shit, there's no reason he couldn't acknowledge the misogyny and the sexism in this stuff. I mean, my God, if you look at Dick Strange, the show I made, right? Dude, there's a lot of misogyny and sexism in that character. That character I was playing was absolutely outrageously misogynist and sexist and patriarchal. And that was the whole point, was lampooning how fucking outrageous this is and how openly accepted it is, right? And how dismissed it is, how we grow up around these guys and we laugh at them and we love them. But this is like a prevailing attitude that we get taught. It says, I read this article about some old woman who lives in New Orleans complaining that Mardi Gras was becoming nothing but one big drunk orgy. She was pissed, not her choice of words, because she couldn't take her granddaughter there to eat marshmallows like she used to 87 years ago when she was a kid. What a wench this old bitch is. Hey, lady, do you remember when you were 20 and dying to get laid? Do you remember the first time somebody ever ate you out? Maybe not, because it's possible no one has ever eaten you out. That's a problem that is not likely to be remedied at this stage. Maybe that's why you're so crabby. Well, the fact of the matter is that cunnilingus kicks ass. I would imagine I know the word is as peachy as can be when I'm receiving oral satisfaction. The point being, sex is pretty good and a hell of a lot better than eating some fucking marshmallows. But here's the problem. Maybe her granddaughter is not having sex, bro. Right? She's not taking her granddaughter to Mardi Gras to get her 12-year-old granddaughter some cunnilingus, you fucking shithead. She's taking her 12-year-old daughter there to fucking, right? Like, dude, I mean, you know, like, how is some old woman's story about giving her granddaughter a marshmallow experience impinging on your cunnilingus fantasies? Like, dude, chill out. So he says, why am I so angry? Is it because he's some sort of sex freak that does not like to have the field of coitus impinged upon in any way? No. Is it because I have a secret loathing for marshmallows, a food item that is dearly overrated, by the way? No. Is it that I'm severely and almost unduly annoyed by crabby old people who try to take the fun out of everything? Yes. There's nothing as fun and lifeful as being a kid. And at some point, that gets sucked out of you. And you turn more and more bitter and responsible and caustic until you become an old asshole. You know what's funny, though? Is kind of like how he's talking about old people just get bitter and angry. But now go look at Anna and Cenk do the news. And all they are is old people who hate everything. Dude, they don't like anything. Right? They don't. They hate everything. They blame everyone. They can't stand anything about the world. Everything is just like grievance upon grievance upon grievance. Dude, he's literally become that old asshole. How does it happen? When does it happen? When is the point when you turn the corner and you no longer root for Snow? Cenk, I think I have an answer. I think it's when you run for Congress and you lose badly and you publicly come to terms with all your failings and you can't acknowledge any of the shit that made you be the who you are. And then you become a leftist and you take money from right-wing people during an election year and you get called out for it. Somebody calls you a birthing person and a homeless guy gyrates against you and all is lost, Cenk. That's when it happens. Oh, shit. When is the point when you forget how fun a drunk orgy can be? I had one of the best nights of my life at Mardi Gras. I kissed over 23 different women, saw and felt countless breasts. was in a wonderful drunken stupor thanks to my friend John Daniels. It was the best buzz of my existence. And this bitch wants to take it away from me because she wants to stuff some marshmallows up her butt. When did she forget that you were supposed to live life, not just watch it go by like a pretty parade you're not in? But you ready for this, though? You ready? I want to posit something here about what he said. When is the point when you forget how fun a drunk orgy can be? But you know what, Cenk? I think there's a problem with that. I think a major problem with this is about you saying how fun a drunk orgy is, when in actuality, I think the only orgy that you should ever really be in is a completely sober orgy where all of the women that are involved have telegraphed an explicit consent. Because yes, a drunk orgy, I can guarantee you that there's women there that are participating in that have gone along with it because they have lost the ability to give consent. And there is some rape culture shit going on with that drunk orgy. Because the fact of the matter is women have been plied with alcohol to disable their consent switches for men to take advantage of them sexually, and then they feel raped afterwards, and then the men are like, what do you mean? Why are you calling that rape? And you don't want to acknowledge that there. And not only that, but men have gotten women drunk and without abortion or birth control. They have then gotten them pregnant and made them their fucking wives, dude. That's how men used to ensnare women. Go take them out, have a good time, have a few drinks, forget about the consent. They knock her up. And now she's raising his fucking kids for 40 fucking years and trying to convince herself that that's the life she wanted. Bro, that's literally this anti-abortion shit they're doing with the right-wingers right now is tied to this, Cenk. But come on, man. You know what I'm saying? And now I could go on. Sometimes the best part of this life is not the prettiest part. It's not the most serene. It's not the most heartwarming. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, I have a family too, and I love them dearly. 2 wonderful little nephews who I just taught how to ski, loving parents, caring friends. But sometimes I like to get laid. And if I can get it, hell, a drunk orgy would be just fantastic. But yeah, Cenk, but like, you're missing that. It should be sober sex, man. You shouldn't be having sex with a woman who's drunk, ever. I know that sounds crazy, sounds outrageous, but you should get consent for the sex first, then you get drunk, and then you can have drunk sex. But if you have not gotten before she's drunk the consent, that is abusive, potentially. That is potentially a rape. I hate to say it, man, but that's the reality. And man, can I just tell you, the culture I was raised in, guys, we were taught this. We were taught you go get drinks with the woman. You go get her liquored up, right? We were taught this shit, guys. And then we were sent out as young men on college campuses to go out and procure. You know what I'm saying? We were taught this, guys. That's culture. That's misogyny, guys. That's sexism. Now, again, though, the thing about this, guys, is I don't see how Cenk, even if he thought he was joking at the time, how can he not read this and like cringe and be like, see it? You know what I mean? Like, I can look at my behavior in the fraternity in 1988, in my fraternity at UCLA. Man, I can look at that behavior, bro, and I can see the misogyny. I can see the sexism. I can see the societal programming. I can acknowledge that, man. I've spent years in therapy to heal that shit, to heal that behavior. I can see me being sexually abused as a kid, how it informed me being extra susceptible to that shit and going out and being a ladies' man. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, of course you acknowledge that. I went to therapy and EMDR for years so I could try to raise a son to be different. But like, to act like if somebody comes out with some behavior from UCLA, if I run for Congress, and I'm gonna have to atone for that shit, man. Like, of course, dude. Like, to act like that's surprising for him to be like, oh my God, they called me out for that blog. How dare them? Like, Cenky, dude, you're not there yet, bro. You're not there yet. You don't understand. Well, maybe you will. Maybe you're going to see this video and maybe you're going to understand that, like, yes, we can acknowledge our misogynist programming and we can acknowledge our sexist belief systems that we were ingrained with and that we participated in, and we can disown them now. We can disavow them and we can explain them. Explain what was going on societally and how it fits into this big picture. But no, what Cenk is doing is he's going to right-wing podcasts and right-wing outlets where that kind of misogyny and sexism is celebrated because it's taught in their religion. You're just a rib, women. You're just a birthing vessel. You're just here to have a whole bunch of kids. You know what I mean? Like this shit right here, dude. What the is that? Every woman's patriotic duty to create sons to build and defend their new kingdom. You know what I mean? So he goes to people who believe this Handmaid's Tale shit and says, yeah, man, they were really out to get me. They're really oppressing us men, right? It's like, dude, that's not the play, man. You own up to that shit. You use it as a teaching moment to show how the Me Too movement needs us. Needs more power. But no, instead, he's like, oh, they oppressed me. They were out to get me, the radical left. And now he's hanging out with motherfuckers who fucking post this shit unironically. And he's like saying, yeah, oh man, those women that like, they're fucking unreasonable. I was just joking. But dude, the person who is posting this might not even realize just how toxic this is, right? That like, look what it says. Now that America is back and God is returning to our daily lives, it is every woman's patriotic duty to create sons to build and defend our new kingdom. Dude, think about how dirty that is. It's every woman's job to get impregnated and to deliver men who will go out and impregnate more women to deliver men, because the men are building and defending the kingdom. And the women are there to just stay impregnated and deliver more men. Dude, this is so fucking gross, bro. This is misogyny at its core. And this is fucking Christianity, guys. The women are just a rib. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.